Shalom all, Stacy the Black Feather Intuitive, and welcome to Divinely Decked Tarot and Oracle Reviews done Stacy style. And today we are reviewing the final video in my series of decks I trust when I'm transforming. And this is the Phoenix Soaring phase. And the Phoenix Soaring phase is always really exciting. It is connected by the World card. And it really represents that energy of, okay, I know who I am on this new journey. I've figured it out. I've thrown all the spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. And now I've committed to a path. I'm ready to go and let's do this. So without further ado, let's check out the decks that I have chosen to represent this really important phase. Okay, so again, we've got that world card, and I just realized there's some nudity. So I'm going to just grab a crystal to put on top of that so that YouTube doesn't flag it. And the first deck that I've chosen to talk about that Phoenix Soaring phase is one of my favorites. This was a Kickstarter deck, and it's called the Woven Path Tarot. And forgive me, I can't even remember the authors. But this is just an incredible deck. I chose it because, first of all, this is a collaborative deck, which means that there are multiple artists. In fact, I believe they've done a different artist for each card. It also has additional astrology cards in here on top of the regular 48 Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot. And it's got a couple of other extra cards in there too, sort of god and goddess mythical energy. So it's very well-rounded. It's a deck that has all the things and the stuff that you could need. It's absolutely gorgeous. So I apologize for some of the funky lighting. It's just, this is the time of year in my recording studio when the light gets a little bit weird. So please forgive me, bear with me. It's got gold filigree. We're seeing two beautiful dragons kind of wrapped around one another. We've got the fish in the cup. We've got a little sun sort of pentacle here. We've got the swords represented. We've got the wands represented. We've got beautiful vines all throughout. It is on that beautiful black sort of, it's not exactly rose petal, but it's a softer cardstock. It's an excellent quality cardstock. So it really represents that Phoenix Soaring. Like, this deck knows who it is, knows who it's wanting to be, knows who it's putting, how it's putting itself out into the world. And so that really, stands out to me. So taking a look here at, we've got the Page of Wands, and that Page of Wands energy. This deck is a little more modern in its approach, but it uses ancient energy. So we see a lot of color in the clothing that is used. We see a lot of detailing that ties everything in. So it sometimes has a bit of a darker feel to it, but always with that pop of color. Here we have the Page of Coins. And you can see, there's a little bit of a difference in the artistry, but it's not so different that it doesn't make any sense. Sometimes with these types of decks, when you have a collaborative deck, it can lose its cohesion in its message, but this is not a deck that does that. Of course, there are a couple of cards. This one always kind of stands out to me a little bit just because the lion's face is so like cartoonish. Compared to other things, but like you get one or two decks in here, and this is a Leo deck, so this is one of the additional cards that we are having added to the imagery. Ace of Cups, look at the use of color. We've got the red and that beautiful teal energy. She is in the fetal position. She's just kind of nurturing herself. There's the sunburst in the back, and then of course the overflowing cup, that love cup. Here we have a beautiful depiction of a female hermit. Love that it's a female in this deck. Here we have the Nine of Coins, an homage to the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith. So when we're talking about this in terms of the Phoenix Soaring, this is a card deck that really committed to its vision, and a deck that said, and I don't know if they really said this, but this is the feeling that I get, said to each of the artists and the creators, really embody what we're trying to weave in these components of ourselves. We're trying to weave in all of the elements of the tarot, trying to weave in all of the things that we go through in life into the story and the system of tarot. And so, given that, what are you seeing? What are you feeling? What are you connecting to? And that's exactly what we go through when we are in a phoenix soaring phase, is we are taking what all the things that we have been in the past, we are taking the wisdom that we have learned, and we are incorporating it into the new vision. And the phoenix rising is all about throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks, trying new things out. The phoenix soaring says, okay, I know very clearly who I am and what I have to offer. And I feel like this deck really embodies that. Each of these cards, the message and the story in it is very clear, very crisp. The High Priestess, you can see like she's connected to the moon energy, but she's also connected to the earth, as above, so below. She's creating magic. We've got the pomegranates that are an important part of the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith tarot, an important part of the symbology of the card. We have the scroll. She's also got the wisdom. She is wisdom embodied. So the owl is a good spirit animal for her, a good companion and a familial. Nine of Wands, determination, resilience. You see it in her face. You can tell just by looking at her. She's really tired, but she is not going to stop. There's something that she is determined to get done, and she's empowered to do so. Seven of Swords, strategy. Using those swords to get to to climb to where it is that he needs to be. Strategy in the energy. Eight of Coins. So this is kind of a hybrid energy, doing the work. Weaving the web, creating the new vision for what is coming up. Creating the new vision for what is wanted and desired. Five of Cups, a card of grief. Yes, grasping at his chest, grasping at his heart. He's in pain. He feels the loss. He's feeling it. He's feeling the grief. All of the cups are spilled all over the place. Life is not going to be the same. There's a change that is happening here. So I really love this deck because with the Phoenix Soaring phase, quite frankly, it's a phase that we really, we don't always acknowledge, but it feels good, really good to be in, because that's the phase where, things are humming, things are rolling, you're building something new and you're excited, you're fulfilled, you're, feeling a direction on where you're going and growing. You're motivated to get to the other side, or, to reach your goals. But you're not overly stressed. There's not like a ton of, I want to say nonsense and shenaniganery that happens as a result. It's something where, you're moving along the path and you can handle it. And we like this. This is the phase where we can enjoy the fruits of our labor. And this deck definitely points out where we need to enjoy the fruits of our labor and where we can enjoy the fruits of our labor. This deck itself is the enjoyment of the fruits of labor. Oop, there's nudity. We'll just cover that up. So each of these images is really powerful. You can tell that the artist's heart was in it, that there is definitely a connection to the original card energy itself, and a real confidence in what they have provided and what they are presenting. And so the Woven Path Tarot, this is just a fantastic deck when we are talking about Phoenix Soaring energy, and just a fantastic deck to work with in general. I'm so happy to have this deck. All right, the second one that I've chosen here to embody the Phoenix Soaring is the Everyday Enchantment Tarot. And it's perfect, finding magic in the midst of life. And in many ways, when we are in that Phoenix Soaring phase, it is about how do we make dishes and laundry more spiritual. We are working towards our goal, but it is the day-to-day work. It is the effort that goes into reaching the goal. and it is the daily grind, is kind of how I would put this. So this is by Poppy Palin, and they're huge. It's a tarot, but it feels like an oracle kind of a style. Very, very big cards. I love them. They've got a nice, soft, smooth finish. They are reversible, and like just the colors in them are spectacular. So the cards themselves are bordered, and I feel like when we are in a Phoenix soaring phase, there is a certain level of border that we have around us, or at least there's a guideline that we're following. We have the vision, we have the clarity of purpose, we have the direction that we're taking. And so I feel like these cards being bordered kind of lends itself to the energy of why this is great as a Phoenix soaring deck. This is also a modern version of the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck, which helps to bring the messaging into something that is more tangible than what we are, I want to say, used to. It still incorporates some of the symbology of the original, but puts its own spin and own take on it. And that's exactly what Phoenix Soaring is about, is saying, okay, world, I know that, this is who I am now, and this is what I have to offer, and I'm going to do it in my own way. And yes, I might be honoring my ancestors. Yes, I might be following someone else's path, but I'm doing it better. I'm doing it differently. I'm just hearing in my head, the Phoenix Soaring is kind of like the apple, right? We have all of these other companies that release the first thing. They release the prototype. They do the thing first, and then Apple sweeps up and they release it second, but they do it better, like 10 times better, right? I feel like that's kind of the energy that this card deck offers as well, is, okay, yeah, I'm basing it on something that has been in existence for a long time, and I am still incorporating the symbols of that because I feel that that's important. I'm not taking away from anything that came before me, but I am choosing to do it differently, and I'm choosing to do it better, or in a more modern way, in a more approachable way. And that Phoenix Soaring energy really, that's what you're perfecting when you're in a Phoenix Soaring phase. You are perfecting the, I want to say, the art of the new, what you are establishing, how you are putting your stamp on things. It is, Phoenix Soaring is, I want to say, like an ego-based phase, not from the I'm all that in a bag of chips, but more from the perspective of, when we've reinvented ourselves, we've brought ego along for the ride. And so there's hopefully been some growth in the ego perspective, letting go of old fears, because, you just went through something brand spanking new, and you made it. You're still here. You're alive. You're breathing. And there's something to that. So I feel like this deck is a celebration of the acknowledgement of that journey, and you arriving at the fifth phase of your transformational energy. And that feels just really important. Six of Coins, the generosity piece, she's just handing stuff out left, right, and center. The Sun, and this is the what's on the front of the box. I wonder if this is what the creator looks like, that maybe she's doing a little bit of an homage to herself. The High Priestess. This card is really interesting because it's showing an aspect of life that is not so pleasant and not so fun. And quite frankly, that's the way things are in life. It's not always the High Priestess sitting on her, high horse giving information. In this situation, she looks a bit drugged out. She looks a little bit checked out. She's safe. She's got her familials around her, keeping her safe, but she's kind of floating around on the street right now, looking a little out of it, not wanting to look at the reflection of herself in the mirror. She's not necessarily scrying here. So it's showing different aspects of the meanings of each card as well. And I think that's important in a Phoenix Soaring phase as well, because just because you're in a Phoenix Soaring phase doesn't mean everything's going to be perfect. But it does mean that you are in a level of growth, soul growth, that is moving you closer to your ascension. And you're doing it in the real world. You're doing it in the everyday. As much as I would love to be floating up airy fairy pie in the sky all the time, because it feels so much better than being here in the body and doing all the things and the stuff. That's not what I've come here to do. I'm a spiritual being having a human experience, and the human experience requires a lot of this. We go into the depths of things, and sometimes it's a happy thing and sometimes it's a not so happy thing, and often we have a little bit of both. Here we have beautiful flowers and she's sad about something. She's lost somebody. She's mourning. It's beautiful flowers at a gravesite. She's got her fur baby with her to support her, to protect her, to comfort her and love her. There's happiness in there. There's joy in that. And there's also the sadness. So, we have the juxtaposition in life, the duality of what this life brings to us, and Phoenix Soaring acknowledges that. It's the duality of things, but recognizing, okay, I've got the skill set, or I've got what I need, or my soul has learned how to move through these difficult experiences and to get right to the heart of the matter, to be able to step more into the celebration of life. So I just feel like this is such a great card deck to really embody what the Phoenix Soaring is about. And it is about bringing us into the now, living in the now, living our truth, and working towards, we're always in a space of working towards the next level, the next goal, the next lesson, because we are on a path of ascension. And this deck really brings it into the now and helps to make it really clear and definable as to how that's working in your modern moment, in your now. The next card that I chose, a card deck that I chose, is Work Your Light Oracle cards from Rebecca Campbell, artwork by Danielle Noel. And, this was the one that called out to me, because when we are in Phoenix Soaring, we are in work mode. There is nothing about a Phoenix Soaring phase that says, okay, I can just like chillax and, take a load off. There are moments in the Phoenix Soaring, as there are in any of the phases, where you can do that. You can relax a little bit. You can take a step back. But the Phoenix Soaring is, how do you get to the soaring phase? Well, you got to flap your wings and get the air underneath of you. There's still a little work and effort. You got to set yourself up for success, and then you can soar for a little while. And then you soar for as long as you need to, and then you're going to have to, apply a little bit. You maybe don't have to start completely from scratch every time you're flapping your wings. You can bolster the energy in the air. It's just like the hot air balloon. It's really loud and hot for, like 30 seconds or a minute. And then there's peace for 5 minutes before you got to again. And that's what this is about. So the Work Your Light really felt very fitting. And, this has been around for a long time. It's a Hay House. Rebecca Campbell has been around for a while. She's got a number of different decks. This still, by far, of all the decks that she's released, is my favorite. Excellent cardstock, card quality. It's soft. It's got that, kind of, I want to say like a bit of a softer, not fully rose petal, but close enough. Oracle size. Here we have play, have fun, celebrate, don't be so serious. They're not bordered, so you're getting the full effect. And I feel like that's important with a kind of a Phoenix Soaring. When we're talking about Phoenix Soaring, yes, you can have bordered understanding of the focus that you're going to, but then you can also color outside the lines. You can play and have some fun and expand your horizons, because that's what it's all about. Mirror who or what is triggering you. Akasha, your guidance is divinely guided. And what I like about this deck as well is that it's well-rounded in its approach, that it's going to talk about real world everyday things, but it's also incorporating the spiritual into it. So, for example, here is Anna, grandmother of Jesus. So this is an ascended master, seeding the light, laying foundations, divine plan. So it's incorporating the spiritual, but then you're also getting, the practical stuff, seeding the light, laying foundation. Laying foundation is a very physical, practical experience. Unbound, releasing soul patterns, contracts, and past lives. So there's a bit of an esoteric feel here, definitely mysticism, but also real. We've got jagged rocks, we've got the realism of the trees that are in the background, the realism of the moon lighting this ritual that they're doing. Soul family, calling your tribe. You don't have to do it alone. We have a beautiful beach scene. Warrior woman, if you weren't afraid, what would you do? I always like this. It's like if you knew your success was assured, how would that change your decision making process, right? Like what would you do instead? Because right now you might be afraid, to say yes to something. But if you weren't afraid, what would you do? In order to get to a phoenix soaring phase, you have to have taken some level of risk. You have to have faced a fear or 2 or 10 in order to get where you're at. But here you are. And I feel like this deck is kind of a reminder of that. It lets you know, hey, you wouldn't even be here if you hadn't earned it. If you didn't have the wisdom and knowledge it takes to get you there. The initiation, rite of passage. You're going somewhere sacred. So here's the fear, here's the scary, here's the unknown. But then you're going through the portal. What's next? What's new? Mintaken, longing for home, belonging, and the original light workers. So along with the phoenix soaring phase, there comes a different level of education. With the phoenix rising, there's a lot of learning, trying new things. With the phoenix soaring, yes, you've chosen a path. Along that path, there's still education, there's still learning, there's still life lessons, as well as, maybe some, I want to say, earthly lessons, like needing to get more information in order to be really successful, to get where it is that you're going. And I feel like this deck really kind of fosters that energy. Answer the call. What is your soul calling you to do? I love that some of these cards ask you questions as well, because it just opens your mind. Sometimes we get so used to just reading the message. Oh yeah, the imagery is pretty and I got the message. And then, you do your ritual and then you start your day and you don't even think about it. Well, when a question is asked, now you can be thinking about that question throughout the day. It just sticks with you in a different way. So this deck, obviously, work your light. Phoenix Soaring is about putting in the work. And this deck gives you a blueprint for how to put that work into practice, how to, again, kind of like we were talking about with the Everyday Enchantment Tarot, the Work Your Light is a little workbook, if you will, work deck that keeps you on your toes, keeps you focused, keeps your eye on the prize. And your eye on the prize, the prize is you. Yes, it's your goals, but ultimately the prize is you and your ascension. And this is a deck that I feel helps you to really be focused on your ascension, both in the day-to-day as well as in the metaphysical, expanding your horizons, giving you opportunities to think in different ways. The imagery is softer. It's a collage deck. And so you've got some modern elements to it. You've got some galactic elements to it. And the colors are really gentle. But also I feel like they can subconsciously evoke some different feelings and emotions as a result of that. And I think that's really important. Leap, you go first, the universe will catch you. This is very much like the Fool's Journey, right? So even in a Phoenix Soaring phase, you may have some mini Fool experiences, where you're stepping onto a new platform, you're trying something new out, and you have the confidence to do it. And this is a deck that kind of helps work that with you. So that is the Work Your Light Oracle cards, Rebecca Campbell, and really very, very fitting for that Phoenix Soaring energy. And our final deck for this particular card is the Oracle Lantern, Angelina Mirabito, illustrated by Yuli Alejo. I hope I'm pronouncing that. And let's just read the tagline. Illuminate the shadows, empower your path. So when we are in that Phoenix soaring phase, we are definitely following a particular path, whether we're flying on that path or we're walking that path or we're skipping down that path. It's a path that we have chosen. This is a Blue Angel Oracle deck. So that standard Blue Angel size, the cards are larger. They have a really beautiful finish to them. They're definitely reversible if you wanted to do reversal. And I love these images because they tend to be a little on the darker side, but with like this smidgen of hope, the smidgen of light that pops through. Here we have perspective. A calm and clear mind is free to see differently. The messages in this card are really very supportive of a Phoenix soaring energy. Melting mask. Allow your spirit self to shine through the many roles you fulfill. So it's very in the now, in the present. The messages are very clear and direct. They give you action steps to take. Renewal. Regeneration begins with decay. So in order to renew yourself, you got to let go of the dead weight. You got to fluff off the dead skin. And so I feel like this deck, it's beautiful imagery. The imagery is not necessarily expected. And yet this imagery really opens up your mind. Like we can look at this here. And so I'm glad that the nipple is covered. Hopefully YouTube is not going to shut it down for this. But what we're seeing is a woman who's had a partial mastectomy. Radical self-acceptance. You are perceived the way you perceive yourself. And she doesn't look like she's ashamed of it. She doesn't look like she's trying to hide it. She's looking calm and peaceful. She's looking like, thank God I still have my life. So, and I mean, like, easy for us to say, right? Because when we are going through something like that, it's very hard to get to that space. And anyone who's gone through this, my heart goes out to you. And I'm not trying to minimize the experience, because let me tell you something. I've had, not with the breast, but I've had a similar sort of cancer journey myself. And I've got some, deformation on my body, and, it's all love and light until it actually happens to you. And now you're faced with it, and suddenly it's very different. But I feel like when we're talking about this deck brings up those situations, brings up those images, and really gets you to think about, what does this actually mean for me and to me? And how can I get to this space of peace and self-acceptance, right? Phoenix soaring, like I said, it is a Phoenix phase that requires a different level of work. You're committing to the path, and your nose to the grindstone is what is transpiring. Weeping wound. So here we are seeing, like, she's tried to, somebody's ripped her heart out, right? You are not your wounds. Don't get stuck in the wounding. You can feel what you feel, but don't allow it to stop you from moving forward. Metamorphosis, power and strength lie within our surrender to change. So even in a Phoenix soaring phase, you're still changing, you're still evolving. And this is like that next level of evolvement. The messages that come from this deck are next level. And that's what you want in a Phoenix soaring phase, because you are striving to get to the peak of the mountain, whatever that mountain is for you, or whatever that peak is for you. That's what you're working to get. And it takes effort. Doesn't mean you got to be like all work and no play, but it's next level. So you're exploring new things. You're seeking out different confirmation. You're seeking out different information to inform your choices and to inform the action steps that you're going to take moving forward. So I feel like with the Phoenix soaring phase, this deck keeps things real. In that phase, we can rest on our laurels. We get a bit comfortable when we're working towards something and things are actually moving and they're running like a well-oiled machine. We can sometimes get a little too comfortable. This is a deck that says that's all fine and good, but don't forget that there is the greater purpose here. And that purpose is ascension. That purpose is getting to know the self fully, wholly, and completely. And that means warts and all. And the Phoenix soaring is not as intense as a Phoenix burning or even a Phoenix emerging. But it has its own level of intensity. It has its own level of, like I said, a level of learning. Transitions. Oh, this one like haunts me in a good way. Transitions. You have all of the inner resources you need to cross whatever bridges arise on your path. Like, these are messages that encourage you to do a deep dive, to really value the fact that you're on this journey. It's an honor for us to have this life, to have this breath. It's an honor for us to be able to serve in the ways that we choose to serve others. And I feel like this deck really speaks to a lot of that. Keeps it real, keeps us fresh in what is my purpose? What am I here to do? How am I here to serve and to make a difference and include myself in that process? How am I evolving? So yeah, that is the Lantern Oracle from Angelina Mirabito and Yuli Alejo. I hope I'm saying that correctly, and I apologize if I'm not. All right, guys. So that is video 5 of this this little mini series that I've done. So I'm going to try and get a spot on here where you're not seeing all this light, and I guess that's just not going to happen today. So here we go. As always, loving to connect with you guys. If you want more of this stuff, I now have 3 levels of membership available through YouTube. So you can click on the join button to see which level you would like to connect with to get more like this, more of the astrology stuff, more of the readings, more of the channeling, my day drinking and tarot, like just all the things in the stuff, and would love to be able to connect with you guys in that way. Until I see you for another episode and another segment, I am sending you lots of love. We'll see you on the flip side, and transform well. That's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. It was great to connect with you guys. Please like, subscribe, and comment for more content like this. And feel free to follow me on Blue Sky for even more content every single day. Can't wait to see you guys next week for another installment of Black Feather Couture, Divining the VIP Life.